Eric, welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Welcome.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate you being here. Just as full disclosure, Eric is married to my niece, and so that's how we have him. He's part of the family, La Familia. So, Eric, you've had this job at WJZ in Baltimore as a cameraman for at least 10 years, and tell folks here on the podcast how you got involved with what happened on the Key Bridge.
So Monday night I work till almost midnight. It's my one night of the week where I'm like night side. So went to bed around 12:30ish. And then my son Landon woke me up maybe, around 3. Just put him back to bed because he didn't see me the night before. I go back to my bed and like sometimes in the middle of the night when they wake me up, I always have like a habit of checking my phone just to see like what was going on. And when I checked my phone, I had a text from one of my friends who works at ABC News in DC. He's like one of their producers for like nightly news. And he said, I think he said something along the lines of, "Did you hear about the bridge collapse?" And obviously, since I was sleeping, like had no idea. So I think I opened up X right away, and it was like the famous video everyone saw. Like that was the first thing that popped up. So I think at that point, obviously like Gina was up then. I showed her. It just couldn't believe it. As like everyone who saw that video, it was
shocking.
It was pretty crazy to see. Yeah. One of my good friends who's our top reporter, Mike Helgren, he was like already tweeting about it. And then I started texting him back and forth. Eventually, I kind of was like, "What manager called you?" And then I called that manager and I was like, I'm like 30 seconds from the water. Do you guys want me to go see what I can see? So yeah, like at that point it was like 3:30. I have all my gear and stuff at home. So I just kind of like threw on some sweatpants. I threw on a hoodie. So I just went, straight down. And then there's like a little community access point. And so I parked like, I'm pretty close to the water now, maybe like 30 feet or so. Kind of just grab my tripod, grab my camera, and then walk out to to the water. And I just looked down and I could see it pretty well. I sent you the picture. So at that point, I literally just had like I just had like a static shot of the bridge of the boat. And when I first got down there was a buddy of mine from the Baltimore Sun that had already made it down there before me taking pictures.
Did you run into the police and those guys?
No, so like I kind of stayed in my neighborhood for most of the day, and we were just too far away. Like where I'm at, I'm in Anne Arundel County. The one side of the bridge that's closest to me, it's Baltimore City, and then as you travel across the bridge, it goes to Baltimore County. And I think like one of the things that stood out was like I interviewed someone like around 4 a.m. and he was like the last time it looked like this was in 1970 was when they were, I'm not sure if that's the exact date, but when they were like building the bridge, he was like, that was the last time I saw it look like this. So like it was pretty wild.
Later, as the day progressed, did you run into like the authorities when they showed up? Were you part of that reporting?
So then I was kind of scouting out a location because I found out we were gonna do some like they were gonna send our main anchor out to anchor the show from my location with that in the background. So I kind of was just setting all that up, and then back to we just had like that static like continuous live shot of the bridge. And then I think like we're talking around midday now, and that was when like the station had called me and they were like, "Can you start?" Like CBS Evening News was reaching out to them. They were looking for a spot to go live later that night, scouting the property that we were on in person. Taking, it was funny. They were holding like the camera, like the anchor would do,
Right.
with like the bridge, with the water behind them so they could see what it would look like for the evening news.
Right.
They had asked if like the homeowner was interested, or if it was all right with them coming in. And like, I'm not sure if you guys know how like the network news comes, but like with like for local news, it was like me and an anchor, and that was it. But for like network, they have like 20 people that come in, and you're talking like multiple SUVs, multiple trucks.
Right.
But yeah, so eventually they decided that that would be the spot. And then over the next couple hours, like the whole team was like coming in. And
That
then they
included
were
Nora
setting up.
O'Donnell.
I guess we had the best. Yeah, yep, yep. We had the
Okay.
best spot, of course. My bosses were like, make sure we lock down the good shot.
So
um,
were like NBC and ABC close to you guys in the same vicinity?
there was a house next to us that was empty, but then that next house next to that lot that had ABC News, and then next to them was CNN. Um,
Okay.
so like we were all set up there, and they were kind of just doing like live hits all day. Um, and like I said, my buddy at ABC News actually asked me where to send his crew, so that's how they ended up like in the same location as us.
So who did
But yeah,
who did Nora
that
O'Donnell
that
talk
was
to when she showed up? Did she have any folks that she was talking to, like the governor or local authorities?
like the
Right.
governor was like across the bridge, so he was like, to put it in perspective, like to get from my house to the other side of the bridge, it was about 12-15 minutes with the
Mm-hmm.
bridge. Now with the bridge gone, it's about 36-40 minutes just to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So and they were doing like kind of all the press stuff on the other side of the bridge. So they had like we had other crews, they had other crews over there talk. So none of like like no one important was like over by us, at least early
Okay.
on. Um, but
And then,
but yeah, so go ahead.
no, I was going to say, as the days progressed, were you involved with further follow-ups and being, your reporters getting there, and did you get involved with talking to some of the authorities and finding out what they were doing?
Yeah, so like I kind of since I was like the camera for the anchor of our show, I was kind of more anchored down to our one location, at least for
Mm-hmm.
the first day. Um, but like I was helping some of our other crews. Like we had another crew that came to our location. They were gathering like their own stories. They were talking to different residents and stuff like that. Um, the actual camera that was caught the whole incident is actually in our neighborhood.
Is it really?
And
Huh.
we're maybe like, yeah, it's like 4 or 5 miles, I think, away from the bridge, and it's a pretty good
Okay.
picture for being that far away.
So,
Yeah.
so if you live on the river, I mean, could you hear? Did anybody hear this going on in the middle of the night, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, like the
so
collapse.
like I didn't I
Yeah.
didn't hear anything. And the my neighbor who was on the water, he didn't hear anything, but his son did. But they had like a window open. But like like I just had heard from other people we had interviewed that were closer to the bridge. They just kind of said it sounded like an explosion,
Yeah.
and like their whole
Jeez.
house shook. But I think we were like too far away for a lot, like unless you had a window open, you probably wouldn't have heard
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Can you hear anything now with the what's the Navy has 3 cranes out there right now
Yeah, like
tearing apart or the
yeah, like
destruction?
I can't really hear much. I did the story last night, and we were on the other side of the bridge, so that's a little bit closer. But like you could see that they put it in like a temporary channel. I think it's like they said 11 feet deep, and they opened up another one today that's 22 feet deep. But
Right.
yeah, it's like just to see, like we were a little closer. That area is a little bit closer. and you can just really see like it's still like every time I look at it, it's just wild. Like
Yeah.
see the bridge topped over and then just sticking out of the water. Like it just like it's just unbelievable still, even though
Yeah.
like just
Mind-boggling,
looking at
right?
it.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
So there's a couple ships still stuck in the harbor, right? They're not going to get
yeah.
out of there for a while, I'm assuming.
So I guess what they're currently working on, I believe, it was a 200 ton piece of the bridge they pulled out last night.
Wow.
They're working on a 300-ton piece they were supposed to pull out today. Apparently, it's like from the presser that they had last night. They're running into a lot more difficulties than they thought they would. Apparently, like the truss of the bridge fell so far it like sunk into like the bed of the ground. So like
Yeah,
they're
the
having
river.
trouble pulling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
crazy. I heard
but
I heard a number that was thrown out that when the cargo ship hit the bridge, it was 2 million pounds of thrust. I just can't imagine the noise that must have made, and what, like you said, the neighborhood shook. It's almost like an earthquake when you have that much force. And what are you hearing about on the
mhm.
ship itself? Is there any dangerous cargo on there? I haven't heard any reporting on that.
Yeah, so like they said like I thought don't quote me on this. I think it might have been around 80 or 100 of their shipping containers were hazardous.
Mm.
For the most part, like I think I keep on hearing that nothing is actually leaking,
Oh, that's good.
which is really good. They have like those the perimeter around the boat. Um,
Right.
and I also think the cruise ship like kind of ran aground too, so it's going to be like they're going to have to dig the ship, like refloat the ship when eventually when they pull the bridge off of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then like I think they're still missing 4 people. I'm not sure if you guys had heard, but they think that like the bridge has like encapsulated a vehicle.
Oh,
So they
really?
said like the roadway is currently over a vehicle that they're trying to get to.
Oh, wow. And they
Yeah.
suspect there's some bodies in
Is
there,
Yep.
there?
I gather.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think from what I understand, I think it's a cement mixer that's under the bridge that they
Oh,
haven't been
Wow.
able to get to yet.
wow.
Is
It's
there still a
crazy.
crew living on the ship?
Yeah, from what I understand, all like the whole crew of the ship is still on the boat. Um, because I guess once they get it unstuck, they would need that crew to bring it to wherever they're going to bring it.
Right.
Plus, it appears the bow is crushed, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, and just from some of the video I've seen, yeah, it's like you can kind of look inside the boat from the front.
Man.
It's just it's really crazy. There's actually like on the side of where it actually crashed, they have a park that I would like they haven't let anyone into yet because that would get you really close to where it is. The other thing is like I fly drones for our station and we haven't we're not allowed to get any drones up, but that would be like a pretty neat angle
That
whenever
would be.
we're able to do that. But right now
Yeah.
we're restricted and keep on getting emails from like our station forwards to us about like the FBI says you can't fly over the ship right now, so
So
You don't
probably
want them
better
knocking
that
on
way.
your
you
door.
mentioned there's two. That's true. You mentioned there's 2 channels they dug out. Is that for the other ships that are in the harbor to get out right now, or it's not big enough, or
Yeah,
they?
so they have an 11-foot channel and a 22-foot channel. Um, and right now that's like it's pretty much not big enough for any of the real big ships to get out. I know they were moving some like smaller barges. To put things in perspective, like the middle of the channel, because I have a boat and I've been under that bridge, a pretty good amount of time, and I think it averages around like 55 to 65 feet, like going under the middle of the bridge.
Okay.
And I'm not current. I don't know how deep that the container ship that that hit the bridge needs to get out, but think it's over that 22 feet right now. And I think once they're able to pull all the spans of the bridges up, they said they're going to have to re-dredge, which is essentially just like digging like that deeper channel. And then they'll be able to get the traffic moving again.
And
But
Carnival,
I think
Carnival had to move out of there, right? Carnival Cruise Line.
yeah. So they
What the
they
Norfolk?
actually had I think it was 2 or 3 cruises that had left Baltimore that weren't able to return, and they sent them all to Norfolk, Virginia. And I think one ship ended up coming back maybe this weekend, and then they're going to bus them all back to Baltimore. But that's a lot of people to bus.
That's a lot of people. The economy's going to take a hit for sure.
Huge.
Yeah, I know up where I live here in the Philadelphia area, Philly's preparing for some of that cargo to come in to the ports here in Philadelphia and Camden, New Jersey. So,
yeah,
it's like emergency type of thing.
I don't know. Like some people don't realize how big the Port of Baltimore is. I think they're the #1 importer of cars in the country. I think like one of their big things is they're trying to get the car ships back in because they don't take as much, they don't need as deep as water as some of the other things. And there's like this new, I think there were close to like, I think there's 10 or so different ports that are on the other side of the Key Bridge, and they only have one area that is on the bay side of the bridge. So there's only like out of all the places where the boats can drop off stuff, there's only one place on the side of, on the good side of the Key Bridge now.
Yeah.
And that place is relatively new.
You wonder though, why they didn't use any tugboats to guide that ship in the middle of the night out of the harbor.
Right.
And not knowing anything about commercial boating or shipping or whatever, it just make you wonder though.
Yeah, so like I don't know if you've seen some of the graphics, but from what I understand, when the boats leave, they are escorted by two tugboats, and they're further in the channel. And then once the tugboats get them to the main part of the channel, when you're headed towards the Key Bridge, and you're talking like maybe a couple miles from the Key Bridge, once everything's all right, the tugboats kind of veer off. And so that's kind of what happened. So the boat was escorted by 2 tugboats, but the pilot, and I'm not sure if you guys know what pilots are, but in Maryland, they have pilots. It's like it's part of the law where they're like local captains that will sit in on the bridge, and they kind of guide the boat in because you have I think the ship was from Sri Lanka, and you have people that aren't familiar with our waterways. But yeah, so the pilot actually like said, we're all good. Tugboats can go. And I'm not sure the amount of time that passed, but once they were having their power outage, I think the time was actually like it was like around like 1:26 which they already had issues with the power. They made that call to try to get the tugboats back. And obviously I think they hit the bridge at like 1:27.
Yeah.
So that was obviously too late for them to get back over to the bridge. But like one of the craziest things that I heard about, like, have you guys heard in detail about like how they shut the bridge down?
No.
The only thing I heard was yeah.
But yeah, basically I guess like that pilot that was controlling the ship, once he found out that they were headed towards the bridge, he made a call to like the police. And I was like listening to some of the dispatch audio from that night. One officer was able to shut down the one side of the bridge, and if you're watching like the video of the crash, you can see right as the bridge is coming, the cars are just going by. You see tractor trailers. Then as it gets closer, all of a sudden like all the traffic stopped. So like on this radio broadcast, you hear them, they're like they shut down the one side, one officer shut down the other side, and then one of them goes like, I think there's a crew out there. Is anyone able to get to them? And then I think one of the officers was like, well, we're waiting for like a second unit to come to relieve me so the road stays blocked. But once he gets here, I'm going to go out there and warn them to get off the bridge. And it was like 8 seconds later, like they say, the
It's too
bridge
late.
has collapsed.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
it was too late. So that was like a wild story I had heard a couple days ago.
I was just going to ask a quick question about the rumor, and I don't know if it's been verified, but about why they lost power. There were two. I saw a tape where power went out once, and then a few seconds later it was back, and then it went out again. And the rumors, I don't know if they've been verified, is that the gas somehow was contaminated, and that was what was causing the power outages. Did you get any more information on that?
No, I haven't really heard much about that. Like the only thing I've heard, well, like I heard, and I'm not sure how close it was to the crash, but they were having some electrical issues with the ship. Haven't heard if those electrical issues was causing like loss in propulsion or anything like that. But
Okay.
like on the video, like you can see like the smoke coming out of the stack, and that was like
Right.
from what I heard, like the generators kicking in and stuff like that. But like one of reporters, her husband is like a boat captain, and he was kind of saying they were trying to do everything they could to stop the boat from hitting at that moment. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you saw they like dropped an anchor, but the anchor all it did was kind of, it swung them pointing straight into that one pier that they ended up hitting. But
Right.
he was kind of saying like that's kind of like if you're dropping the anchor like that, that's your last like resort. You're trying like everything just to slow down. And
Right.
I think originally they were going like 9 knots, and I think they were under like 6 knots when they actually hit the bridge. So they were
Really.
slowing down, but just not in time.
Not enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think they said it was like 3 football fields too.
Yeah.
I don't know how often you guys have been on a boat. My boat's 26 feet, and when I'm trying to slow that in, trying to come to a dock, it's like really hard. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I just
Yep.
know from just driving my boat, it's really hard to get it to stop. And like, if you're even going in slow, like I think there was one time I was backing it up and like I just barely touched the dock and I had damage on my boat. So like I
Really.
can't imagine with having, I mean, I think it was 8,000. Was it more than 8,000 containers?
Oh
Or
yeah.
it was right around
Some
8,000 shipping containers.
some big number like that. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
So
amount of weight.
like you think about that, you need over 8,000 tractor trailers to move every single container that was on that ship. You're talking about a lot of weight, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Crazy.
So,
Um,
Eric, how'd you get into this business?
Yeah, so my main thing was like I was really interested in shooting like NFL games. And I grew up in New Jersey. NFL Films is in Marlton, not too far away from where I live. And kind of just when I was going through college, kind of figured out that, it would have been a little bit harder to, get into that, like NFL Films. If I did that, I'd only have a job part of the year.
right.
So you know, I found out you could, the local TV stations shot the game. So I interned at a station in Atlantic City, NBC down there. They closed, but so I was able to shoot a couple of NFL, Eagles games there. Then I moved to Virginia, still did it there at another station. Was only there for like a year and a half, and then I came here for the last 10 years. And I think it was maybe like a little bit before the big pandemic, I was doing a lot of Ravens games. But then once I had kids, I kind of wanted the weekend back, so got out of that. But that was kind of I was just really interested in like video and just seeing stuff and getting to do a lot of stuff that like certain people will never see in their lifetimes. I've been on helicopters, been on planes. I've seen presidents, vice
Cool.
presidents. interview. Like I interview the governor a lot. Politicians, get to travel a little bit. So that's kind of the real reason I really like not working in an office. It was pretty nice too.
I'm impressed with your governor there. I never knew he was a governor. He's been really upfront and representing the state very well.
Yeah, he's good to work with. I've actually before he ran, I didn't really know who he was. So it was just interesting, because we had Larry Hogan for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then when I had never even heard of this dude. and
me either.
But I think he's doing a pretty good job so far.
He's handled this well. He really has. Yeah. Well, great.
Yeah.
You have any more, Rich, or I think we'll kind of close this one.
We could probably edit this part out. What high school did you go to up here?
I went to Shawnee and Seneca.
Oh,
where were you from?
I'm in Haddon Township.
Okay. Yeah, so when I first started Shawnee, I was a freshman in Shawnee, and they built the new high school, Seneca, and then I was mandated to go. I didn't really have a choice.
Okay.
So cool. And then I went to Rowan University
Good
for
place.
college. Yep.
Good place.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for your time. It was it's nice to have somebody to chat with who was actually on the scene and saw, firsthand what devastation this whole accident wreaked on the area. We'll be talking about this for many, many years. It's going to take them a long time to rebuild, and hope that the economic impact isn't as great as people think it might be, and hopefully they'll be able to get some commerce in and out of there. But the port will be hampered for a long time.
What's the projection for rebuilding? What's the projection for rebuilding right now? Any idea?
I read an article this morning, and like I said, they're trying to speed some of this stuff up, but they just said the planning will take 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
and I'm not familiar with that bridge that collapsed in Tampa. I think it was in the 80s, but they said it took 7 years to rebuild that bridge. But even if it is 40 years ago, so I would imagine they're able to build bridges a little bit faster now. But
yeah,
I've heard anything from 3 to 5 years maybe.
That sounds about right.
And then they're also talking about redesigning the bridge. It's a long bridge. I think it's close to 2 miles. And also the height of the bridge, it was one of the highest bridges I've ever been on. And then these cargo ships just keep on getting bigger and bigger. I know the Port of Baltimore recently got some new cranes to offload containers, and the ship that it came across, I believe, on low tide, they might have had 3 feet of clearance to go underneath the bridge.
Whoa. Wow.
So I don't know if they're talking about possibly, when they redo it to make the bridge even higher.
Yeah.
Just because they when that boat came by, they had to they shut down the Bay Bridge, which is further south, and then they shut the Key Bridge just in case there were any issues. But when you're trying to bring cargo in and you're only clearing the bridge by 3 feet, that's got to be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't imagine.
So.
All right.
I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal,
Yep.
back to your point about the size of these cargo ships, and they showed 50 years ago was when the bridge was approximately built, and they showed the size of cargo ships back then versus the one that went under the ship recently, and they're more than triple the size. That's how big these ships have gotten. So they're going to have, and your point about the height was also brought out in this article. So I suspected the bridge is going to be built even higher. We'll see. Obviously, I'm no engineer, but it's going to be interesting to watch. It'll be crazy.
Yeah. And the other difficult part is they were trying to say what how do we protect these bridges, the support beams and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys seen the some of the satellite pictures at all, but they actually had they're called dolphins, but they're essentially like cement barriers near both of the two main support beams.
I saw that.
Obviously, like, the boat missed them.
Yeah.
But from what I understood, like, even if it had hit them, I don't think it would have stopped. Like they were saying,
No.
like you were saying, like, that the amount of force that's coming down, they said they couldn't even engineer something to stop that. So
Yeah, 2 million
that's like a whole
pounds.
nother thing that I think's
Yeah.
pretty.
I don't think you can
Yeah.
engineer the handling 2
Interesting you
million
say
pounds
that,
of
too.
thrust. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The CBS news station in Philly went out and did I think it was CBS, did a story on that with our local bridges here. Commodore Barry and Walt Whitman, and I guess they all have those dolphins you were talking about. And they were saying that it could not happen here because of the dolphins. But then again, you talk about the
Yeah.
amount of thrust hitting it. I guess it could, God forbid.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the one, like, I think I also heard, I think the country has 65,000 bridges, and they said 17,000 of them are they're called fracture critical bridges that are designed like the Key Bridge, that if one part of the bridge is hit, it would all come down.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So 17,000. Oh, mackerel. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Yeah.
And I guess they're saying, like, some of them, like, obviously, like, this channel near the Key Bridge is deeper. They did say some of these, bridges they're not as concerned about because they're not as deep. You know what I mean? So the size of the
Right.
ships that are going under some of these won't be as big as, like, the Key Bridge, because you have a major port here where some of these
Right.
bridges are probably just on, like, some rivers and stuff like
Yeah.
that they'll never have anything that big that will come close to it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, Eric, thank you so much. It was great getting your insight. I appreciate your time. And we wish you luck, and be safe out there as you're reporting more of this, because it sounds like it's going to be crazy in that port for a while. So again, thank you for your time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
All right.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Yep. See ya.